All right. My name is Dr. Rhonda Fritz. I'm an associate professor of education at Eastern Oregon University, and I partner with local school districts and regional educator networks in our area to provide some professional development. So today we're just going to be talking with two people who have roles in that in our area, McKinnon McDonald and Scott Carpenter. And I will let you introduce yourselves. Scott, will you just introduce yourself and your role in your organization?
Yeah, Scott Carpenter, the Grand School District. I'm the assistant superintendent.
And my name is McKinnon McDonald, and I work for the Intermountain ESD, and I am the coordinator for the Oregon Trail Regional Educator Network.
Awesome. Thank you. McKinnon, I kind of want to start with you. If you could kind of give us a brief overview of what a regional educator network is and what their purpose is in the state, and maybe how they came to be even.
Yeah, I'll do just a short backstory. So there are 10 regional educator networks throughout the state of Oregon. Most all are hosted by ESDs. So ours is hosted by the Intermountain ESD in our region. We're allocated funds based upon the school districts that we serve and kind of the size of students that we have. So our REN has a little over a $2.5 million budget. To be able to spend on issues that our region has deemed necessary to address. And so I think Scott and I were actually part of the creation of the REN, and we've been in it, since the start. But our REN is comprised of representatives from each of our school districts. So we serve 21 different school districts, and we have 4 county administrator representatives because we serve 4 counties. And then we have different organizations within the region, colleges, community colleges, nonprofits, that all have kind of a voice at the table. And so that group actually, when we met, we identified needs in the region. And so the best way I can sum up the need in our region was high quality professional learning opportunities being brought to our region, or being able to send people to places, but really the priority being bringing them to us. So we remove any barriers of accessibility, or as many barriers as we possibly can when it comes to that. So that's kind of how we have made decisions as we go forward, using that group to determine where our specific needs are.
Great, thank you. So I guess I'll jump in a little bit about our connection with the Eastern Oregon University Reading Clinic training. And that all came about as part of my sabbatical when I was trying to develop a clinic that could both train pre-service and in-service teachers and serve kids in our communities that were struggling to learn to read. So the REN has stepped up in a huge way to support teachers in that effort. Can you give a little bit of backstory from the REN side of why that came to be, and maybe why the REN decided that they wanted that to be one of their priorities?
So I think the partnership, if I'm correct, the partnership came to be kind of in the summer of 2021 and really started focusing on training mentor teachers. And we've evolved into current service teachers and mentors as well. The original coordinator, I think, saw definitely the need for high quality professional development or learning, specifically in the area of reading in our region. And with the needs for early literacy and different supports that our teachers didn't necessarily have in their educational experience prior. And this is actually, as Rhonda knows, actually our biggest project for the REN outside of just kind of staff and some basic costs. We spend a large portion of our budget on this clinic because we feel like it's not a one and done professional learning opportunity. It's an ongoing it's an ongoing series of trainings over a term essentially. And I think we really liked that because we heard a lot of feedback on, it's great when you bring a trainer to our region, but when they come to the training and then we go back to our districts and we are supposed to go on with our day, it's really hard to actually implement what we've learned and be able to practice that and to continue having learning and growth throughout the year. And so I think that was really appealing as part of this. I think also finding a strong partner in our region that does have such, intricate role in training the teachers in our region too, I think was important for us as we were looking for those partnerships. And the great thing has been that we're able to offer it to anyone in the districts that we serve to be able to be part of this. And teachers and mentors are being compensated for their time while they're also learning, because we know that that is a huge barrier. A lot of this actually occurs outside of their traditional workday. Almost all of it does. And so we really want to be responsive to being able to support teachers and value the work that they're doing.
Yeah, and that was an important piece for me too, because we know teachers already give a lot. So giving them that incentive to spend extra time was important for me also. Scott, do you want to tell us how your district uses the REN to provide some professional development for teachers, and also what kind of your vision is for your district in relation to the reading clinic, but also other PD offerings through the REN?
Well, I'll answer your last question first. Sort of the difference between what a district can provide and what the REN can provide in this sort of collaborative venture. For us, I would just say we're one of the larger of the smaller districts in Eastern Oregon. And so we have budgets that allow us to bring in, I have to be selective, but maybe bring in a trainer. Most of our training is done in-house. Most of it is like I'm lucky if I can get 4 half days on a particular venture to get some drip across the year. I'm paying for the subs, but there's not really much I can do to pay for extra time or those types of things, and have to fall within the CBA to be able to do those things. I know in tinier districts than us, if you're thinking about Cove, Embler, Union, they really don't have the professional development funds, and by and large, districts across our region don't have huge professional development days built into their schedules. And so to be able to have the REN come alongside and be able to say, we can do those things, we can offer a regional training that sort of sees us through the highs and lows of cohorts, that can pay extra stipends and afford to do that can create PD that's formatted the best way for teachers to learn and that honors their time outside of the day, has been fantastic. We have had fantastic feedback, both in terms of the process of going through the PD, but also the PD itself and how it's transformed sort of reading instruction in our district. I think connected to your question was, how are things changing in our district? And I would just say over the last 3 years, what we've done is we've migrated from very, and forgive me, I'm a high school social studies teacher, so I'm probably going to botch this. So help me, Rhonda, if you can. But more of a whole reading approach in terms of, and I think it was a stretch out of PSYOP in terms of constructing meaning, but essentially I show you a picture of the word, you connect it to the word and try to memorize the sequence of letters, and somehow you're supposed to become a reader, is maybe a simplified version of how we used to do it. And in fact, how we used to train teachers even through EOU on how to read. And there was this sort of wave of teaching reading that way. Certainly through science of reading, we have seen a dramatic shift back to phonics and phonemic awareness, being able to decode and have some good fluency in learning how to become a reader and actually learn skills of reading. I've also seen in our district, because of that, a focus on getting the right diagnostic, getting the right screener, getting the right tools in place, curriculum tools, to be able to pinpoint the exact reading skill that they need and be able to intervene. And so updated our curriculum in alignment to that, updated all of those tools to be able to really find the intervention that's appropriate, and then be able to see that growth and document that growth. As an extension out of this REN work and with the reading clinic, we've also gotten to partner on another project that's brought tutors into our schools. Rhonda, you've been part of that with Jess Hagedorn, and just very appreciative of that extension, both during the school day and outside the school day, to create readers. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's a very exciting outgrowth of that. And I feel like, you know, it takes a village is appropriate here. So I think we are seeing big growth and big changes in districts, and knowing that it's all new learning for all of us, and we're learning along the way how to do this better. So I really appreciate the partnerships we've had, and you being with me as I baby stepped to figure out what those best practices are for PD, but also how to relay that to teachers in a way that is useful and will change their practice or improve their practice, I guess. So I really appreciate both of you. Any last remarks before we jump off of here?
All I'll say is that, you know, we are continually looking on how to build this partnership that we have. And we know that we have teachers that participate in the clinic, they become a mentor, and then what? And so I think where we're at with as a REN is we're really trying to look at being strategic with the funds that we have to spend, and really trying to provide some targeted trainings to school administrators that are going to oversee this in partnership with you, and then also just kind of expanding on kind of some of those areas where science of reading and the reading clinic hits, but kind of the then what, you know, the intermediate grades, kind of applying it to small group work and trying to be strategic as we plan out our summer professional development and our professional development summit to actually include those things. So that's been really important to us, but we love the partnership. We've getting a lot of really good feedback. And so I think for us, it's just continuing to strengthen that bond.
Yeah, and I think Scott brought up a really good point in terms of, you know, the reading clinic really hits those foundational skill pieces, but like you said, McKinnon, we needed the next step. How are we helping teachers learn how to develop the other pieces of reading that are so important to comprehension? So I think continuing to build is key for all of our teachers.
I think I'd be remiss to not advertise and at least put a shout out there to the REN and the creation of the RENs. To whoever sees this, I would just reiterate that the movement away from a grant-based system for these types of PD funds that had resulted in essentially 5 districts having instructional coaches to having, you know, per pupil PD funds across regions where we can do this type of work is essential. There are tiny districts that have to operate in this collaborative fashion to have any type of PD. I'm thinking of a Ukiah with, you know, less than 60 kids, or a Burnt River with less than 60 kids. And we have to have these types of structures. And when the state creates these RENs and starts to fund them, there are just really amazing local options for PD, such as yourself, Rhonda, and others that come alongside and help us to be better and are essential. And so my hope would be that the RENs continue to be a vibrant force for professional learning, that they're reflective of what our teachers want and need at the regional level, and that we can get these sort of, I would just say, bigger type impact, bigger type projects done through these funds that would be insurmountable and almost borderline impossible for a small district to do, particularly in our region. So thank you to the state and McKinnon and all those who make REN dollars possible, because we need them if we're going to continue to do these types of things.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Scott. That's really important, as I'm hoping people across the state will see this and see that these dollars can be used in such an impactful way.
Yeah.
So, thank you to both of you. And I appreciate our partnership very much, and look forward to the future of that as well.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thanks.